Food is important. It's something that everyone on the planet needs. Should be available to everyone.
The way we produce, consume and waste food is taking a heavy toll on our planet. It is putting historic pressure on our natural resources, climate and natural environment, and costing us trillions of dollars a year. At this year's theme makes clear the power to change is in our hands. Our actions are our future. Last month, the world gathered for the United Nations Food Systems Summit. Countries made bold commitments to transform food systems, to make healthy diets more affordable and accessible, and to make food systems more efficient, resilient and sustainable at every step, from production and processing to marketing, transportation and delivery. We can all change how we consume food and make healthier choices for ourselves and our planet.
Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Welcome to Veracity. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. If you control the food supply, you control everything. They want to remove small farmers, even medium farmers, from their land, and they want to bring it all under the control of these. I think there is no other term to describe it. It's fascistic public-private partnership. The United Nations, as we know, is more than what we thought so far, because according to their statement made by an award-winning international journalist, Alex Newman, their 2030 agenda is focused on increasing independence between countries by controlling the food supply through farmland. The statement does seem appalling, but when we dig deeper into their objectives, Newman's words are actually bringing out the truth that was hidden from us. Now, according to the United Nations 2030 agenda, which was adopted by all UN state members in 2015, they must achieve 17 Sustainable Development Goals for a better future. Now, if we look at their second goal, it says zero hunger. And to achieve their objective of zero hunger, they need to control an enormous levels of farmland spreading worldwide. But as private owners in different parts of the world already control farmland for generations, how would they achieve this objective? Well, they will either bribe farmers to control their land or force crippling laws on them. And this is exactly what we are witnessing with the farmers in the Netherlands. Newman said, if we go back in time, this Sustainable Development Agenda first emerged when the United Nations adopted the Vancouver Declaration report at a conference in Vancouver, Canada in 1976. The report clearly said, land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals and subject to the pressures and inefficiencies of the market. Private land ownership is also a principal instrument of accumulation and concentration of wealth, therefore contributes to social injustice. Now, pursuing sustainable goals for a better future seems acceptable, but declaring that land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals is what changes everything. Fast forwarding to the present moment, the 2030 Agenda was already adopted by all UN member states in 2015. This means they are all completely in favor of taking away farmers' lands either by giving money or through their autocratic laws. Moreover, the then Secretary of the UN, Ban Ki-moon, openly called the 2030 Agenda the Global Declaration of Interdependence, to which Newman argued it was a direct swipe at our Declaration of Independence. So the unfolding of this agenda is already happening in the US and the rest of the world. And in March 2022, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, proposed a regulation that would mandate publicly traded companies to report on their carbon emissions and other climate-related information, as well as report similar information from their companies with which they do business. However, Senator Tim Scott and John Hoeven, along with 30 other lawmakers, urged the SEC to change its proposal for over-exercising its powers. The American Farmer Bureau Federation argued that this regulation would massively increase the cost of their farming businesses as they can't afford a compliance team or attorneys like large corporations. Newman said the whole idea of using food as a weapon has been a hallmark of communist regimes for 100 years. And it's also been a hallmark of very same people who are openly promoting the UN Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals, and even the World Economic Forum. It is exactly similar to what existed during Nazi Germany, where on the agreement the private companies own and manage their business, but when it comes to government moving forward with their own personal objectives, the private companies will have no other option than complying with the government orders. This shows the sustainable goals or environmental objectives are the perfect opportunities to steal individual freedom. Now, for example, to control the supply of food in China, the Chinese Communist Party has now formed a mega partnership with large companies. And in January 2021, the World Economic Forum and the government of the Netherlands launched a new initiative called Food Innovation Hub, or FIH, that will use the latest technology to create better food production. However, the problem arose when this FIH created a global coordinating secretariat that will coordinate and keep a check on regional food hubs in Netherlands to find out whether they are moving according to their sustainable goals or not. So why do you think Bill Gates is buying enormous farmland in the US? Because he has already discovered that the government will soon take over farmland and it will help him gain great profit from it. Lastly, Newman said, we need to really start providing an alternative economic structure, because if we let them get control of the entire food supply, I guarantee you it will be used as a weapon to take your freedom, to get you to do things you otherwise wouldn't want to do. You need to have a relationship with the local farmers in your community. Get to the local farmers market, deal with the local farmers, come up with some agreement, such as getting delivery of fresh seasonal produce from the local farms for $100 a week. Because if we want to prevent food supply from being used as a tool of control, we need to find alternative sources of food locally.
We have a choice. Do we confront the challenges we face with honesty and responsibility or not? I'm standing because I believe I'm the best person to lead our country and the only candidate who can take the fight to Labour and win the next election for our party.
And I'm the person who can go into number 10, I can hit the ground running and I can get things done.
The Tory leadership race is down to the final two. That is Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. They have qualified for the runoff and will now battle it out to woo the grassroots Conservative members.
As the countdown towards replacing Boris Johnson is ticking every second, only one amongst former Chancellor Rishi Sunak and Foreign Minister Liz Truss can become the next UK Prime Minister. Now, if we talk about Sunak, he has easily been the favorite so far, and instead of chasing the taxation burden like Boris Johnson, Sunak vows to handle the rising inflation crisis first. Now, on the other hand, Liz Truss has vowed to cut down taxes by ensuring the economy also keeps growing. However, the picture became clear when Brexit leader Nigel Farage called Sunak the great globalist and criticized Truss as Theresa May 2.0. While referring to Sunak, Farage said, "The great globalist, the man who has family links and interests with businesses in China, who is happily working hand in glove with the big banks, and who has helped raise our taxes to the highest in 70 years. And towards Truss, Farage said, as an adult, she was a Liberal Democrat activist. She spoke at the Liberal Democrat conference. She wanted then at least to abolish the monarchy. She voted to remain. She voted 3 times for Mrs. May's dreadful deal. I think the Conservative Party are making a dreadful mistake. I think it's Theresa May 2.0. Now, it should be noted that Sunak has already been welcomed by the Chinese state media as the candidate who has the most pragmatic stance towards China. And if Truss wins, then she would become Britain's 3rd female prime minister. So who will win the final round? Only time will tell.
And that's what climate change is about. It is literally, not figuratively, a clear and present danger. The health of our citizens and our communities is literally at stake.
On Saturday, Biden met with the Gulf state leaders. He wanted all of them to produce more oil, to bring down crude prices globally.
From canceling oil production projects in America to begging Saudi Arabia for more oil supply, Representative Dan Crenshaw, in a recent interview, grilled the Biden administration for confusing the investors and the citizens about which direction they are trying to lead the country. Crenshaw argued that currently, America needs around $225 billion to keep up the oil production needs of the citizens, which would eventually bring down the oil prices. However, By blaming the oil industry for not producing more oil, the Biden administration also vowing to end the use of oil and gas in the country over the next 5 to 10 years. So with Biden canceling the Keystone Pipeline project, disapproving credible oil production leases, and imposing hard-to-adopt regulations is sending a clear signal to giant companies not to move forward in this direction. By criticizing the Biden administration for adopting a radical approach to wind and solar energy, Crenshaw stressed that Biden has a strange religious-like obsession with implementing green energy in the country. Surprisingly, all of this obsession also gets washed away in a second when he heads towards Saudi Arabia to beg for more oil in a sophisticated manner.
They're pandering to a very radical environmentalist base. It's a small portion of the population, but that's who they believe has power in Democrat politics. So I think that's the political reason why they do it. Deeper than that even, there is some strange obsession, almost a religious-like obsession with a wind and solar only future. They believe these are the only things that are clean and proper for Americans to use as energy. Meanwhile, admitting fully that you need more oil production because they go beg the Saudis to do it. Meanwhile, they make it very difficult for our producers to invest in it. Estimates would say you need about $225 billion more of investment in upstream production if you're going to meet our demand in the future. And we're not even close to that. And that's because they've added 30 regulations. They've canceled pipelines. They won't approve leases. They speak out of both sides of the mouth. They say we need more oil production, but we also need to stop having oil and gas in this country over the next 5 to 10 years. So obviously you're not going to do $1 billion of investment when you need to.
Thank you all for spending time with me. I want you all to check out this documentary we did right up here on transhumanism, because it's very important you know where we're heading in the future, at least where they're trying to push us towards. And also, there's another one down here I want you to check out, which is on the social credit system. So please join me tomorrow at the same time, and we'll talk about more truths happening in America. Take care and have a good night.